If you can hear my sound loud and clear, please type in the chat, I hear you. Thank you. I see you. Loud and clear. Okay.
Now, can you hear me? If you hear me, please. Yes, you can, but it's breaking. Okay,
Joyce, I can hear you very clearly.
fantastic. Okay, thank you. Now that you hear me, I was saying, welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lagos State East Senatorial debate. We await our aspirants and candidates. The moment they're all in here, we will begin the session. We'd like to say thank you all for being here and being here on time. It will be a worthwhile experience. Please stand by for just a few moments and then we will commence. Thank you. Punctuality does matter. Perhaps we begin to choose from punctuality.
When any enterprise is set up, the owners of this enterprise come together, headhunt, and hire the right people to run this enterprise. As a nation, Nigeria, which ought to be a profitable enterprise, we as the electorate, we as the people, have the responsibility and the duty to call together and interview suitable candidates for the running of the affairs of this enterprise called Nigeria. What we're doing here today can be of a sort called an interview session, where we find out from the aspirants and the candidates how they intend to run this enterprise on behalf of us, the owners. My name is Joyce Daniels, and I'm honored to be the moderator for the session today. The executive director of the Electoral College, the body which has put together this debate, is here with us, and he will say a word or two. Please welcome Mr. Kunle Lawal. And I'm honored to be the moderator for the session today. The executive director of the Electoral College, the body which has put together this debate, is here with I'm honored to be the moderator for the session today.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Executive director of the Electoral College, the body which has put together
Hello, everyone. Good day, and it's a pleasure to be here. On behalf of the board of the Electoral College, myself, and everybody, one voice who's also collaborating with us, would like to say thank you for joining. Now, most people would wonder why a debate or why are we doing what we are doing? You see, the key that stops Nigeria from actually getting to where it's supposed to get to is that Nigeria actually could be a country that could be one of the best in the world, but its major problem is bad governance. There's no difference between Nigeria and any country in the world, but I think what has come about is that Nigeria as a country is an issue. It's an issue because of bad governance. Could be a country that could be one of the best in the world, but its major problem is bad governance. There's no difference between Nigeria and we're having a little few hitches. I don't know what's going on as regards to the voicing. I will try to sort this on the back end, and then we'll come back and maybe I'll continue this talk. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawal. I believe we have the go ahead to proceed. There are a few housekeeping rules to bring to our attention, especially to our candidates, our aspirants, our debaters for today. Number one, keep all mobile phones silent. Keep your mobile phones muted whilst you're speaking. When responding, please, no name calling. Number three, no use of foul language. Should you use foul language, you will be muted. Number four, no interjections. Please allow candidates speak freely and you speak during your allotted time. Number five, the Electoral College will fact check. So candidates must only use factual information and evidence-based statistics. Baseless comments are prohibited. Number six, the audience is muted and will remain muted through the debate. Number seven, candidates will remain muted until time to speak. When your time is up, you will be muted. We will stand by to confirm how many candidates are present, and then the debate will start. Thank you all for your kind patience.
So Joyce, I think I've attempted to try to get things straight. I don't think I'm echoing again. Am I?
No, you're not.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apparently had the YouTube stream on while I was on the Zoom. So it was really a complex situation. I was echoing, I couldn't tell why. So it's great to be here on behalf of the Electoral College and One Voice. I'd like to welcome everybody here. We must first understand that a few of the candidates, some are coming in, I think one or two are in, but we are waiting for some. Today is a campaign day and the final weekend for campaigning before the elections, which is next weekend. I think we also have to be a little patient and we have to be a little understanding with them. It might take us some time, but we have assurances if you coming. And I would also like to acknowledge those who maybe have entered while I am speaking. So the Electoral College is a simple, I'll just take this time so that we're not just here looking at each other. So the Electoral College is a very, very simple initiative. Its targets are to deliver, of course, the targets are to deliver a clear understanding of what governance is. And it does this in batches of classes with a full course bouquet. The Electoral College has also been able to extend this course bouquet to radio, and it's planning to extend to, radio in Abuja, but it's planning to extend to radio in the East, North, and West in 2021. The Electoral College is made up of a board of directors that are fully keyed into understanding what exactly the problems with political literacy are within the country. We try to think of ingenious ways to solve. I would like to say one of the targets of this debate will not only be to get to listen to the candidates, but to also allow the electorate to understand what exactly a legislator is actually supposed to do. So we're going to come from the major functions of a legislator, which are to propose or make laws, and then the second, which is oversight on the executive, which the executive arm of government. And we will try to kick out the constituency projects and co because that's more an executive function, which is added to them just in Nigeria. So I would like to welcome you all. We have 65 participants. It's great to see you all here. I look forward to a great event today. I'd like to hand over back to Joyce Daniels as we are moving forward right now, as we are trying to still get people together and move forward and have this thing done today. So thank you very much for attending. Let's try and get everyone together and let's see what we can put together in a few minutes so that the candidates can come in and maybe start introducing themselves. So I'll take a little step back now and then allow Joyce Daniels, who's we are very happy to have. And she has a backdrop that I'm trying to borrow. But thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Lawal. Just to acquaint us with the candidates that we're expecting today, we have from the Action Alliance, Mr. Muyiwa Sunday Adebanjo. We have from the African Action Congress, AAC, Adeoye Mercy Osede. We have from the African Democratic Congress, ADC, John Kome. From the Action Democratic Party, ADP, we have Ogunlaru Adebowale Johnson Jeff. From the All Progressives Congress, we have Abiru Mukail Adetokunbo. From the National Rescue Movement, NRM, we have Olukunle Akin Adisa. From the New Nigeria People's Party, NNP, we have Lawal Adijat Okpeyemi. From the People's Democratic Party, PDP, we have Babatunde Olalere Badamosi. And from the Social Democratic Party, SDP, we have Oluko Sahid Olawale. We expect all these candidates, and in a short moment, we will continue with the debate itself. We have an outline where debaters, aspirants, candidates will introduce themselves, and then we'll have the first round of questions, and they will have the opportunity to answer questions, maximum 5 questions from the audience, after which we will wrap up with 1 minute responses, closing remarks, and then we will be good to go. The moment I get a go ahead, we will invite all candidates and proceed. Once again, we thank you for your time and your patience. I see Mercy Bossidi Adeoye from the AAC present and has been for a long time. Dr. Kome from the African Democratic Congress present. I'm told that we will start in exactly 4 minutes, regardless of who is here. Our sincere apologies once again to those who have been here since 3 o'clock, especially to our candidates who are here on time, and even more to you, the electorate, who are here to exercise your franchise, to ask questions, to interview those who we hope will guide our affairs with justice and truth. Thank you for being here on time. We start in exactly 2.5 minutes.
We're a nation undivided and voice. We will take us down and build a land in faith to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore what freedom, rights, and truth prevails. Our land where there's hope for us all. Our land where there's hope
Indeed, we are a great nation, and therefore, we will start off this debate with the number of candidates we have here present. I am told we have 3 of them present. Allow us to begin. Shall we begin? If I see yes in the comments section, we will begin. Thank you all. Our dear candidates, please be reminded of the rules. Keep your phone silent whilst you speak. No name calling, no use of foul language, and no interjections. You may speak during your allotted time. The Electoral College will fact check. So candidates must only use factual information and evidence-based statistics. Baseless comments are prohibited. The audience remains muted and cannot participate in the debate. Candidates will be muted should they exceed time given. For the first round of introductions, you have 3 minutes to make your introductions and opening statements. Are we ready? I will depend on the admin of the Electoral College to spotlight the first candidate. All candidates, please put on your cameras. From the African Action Congress, we have Adire Messi Bossede. For 3 minutes, please make your opening statements.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can now.
Thanks for having me on the program. And I also appreciate everyone. My name is Comrade Adire Messi Abosedi, aka Ama, born in Lagos State, a Christian by faith. I once worked with state government. I'm an humanitarian with NCE, degree in education, master in arts. I'm an AAC candidate for Lagos State Senatorial. Is by election slated for 5th of December coming on. Passion to serve had always been a burning thing in my heart. It has been my desire to serve. So, and I think it's high time I have a vision to hold position that demand my service to the others and to the society at last. What inspires me? I was inspired through the vision I had so many years to serve humanity and coupled to what is happening in the society right now. It has really changed me to see this is the high time to salvage Nigerian, to salvage, to stand up and rise and salvage the distinguished people of Lagos East out of the oppression of this present government. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates from the African Action Congress, AAC, Adire Messi Bossede. We have with us from the African Democratic Congress, ADC, John Kome.
I don't know whether you can hear me.
We can hear you. We would like to see you, sir.
Because I'm driving at the moment. I'm driving at the moment on my way to campaign at the fair houses now. And I wouldn't know how I'm going to make it, driving and talking at the same time.
Is that you asking to be excluded, sir?
It's getting worse now. Yes, Yes, I think I need to excuse myself for now, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, sir. From the National Rescue Movement, NRM,
Thank
we
you.
have Mr. Olukunle Akin Adisa. Mr. Olukunle, if you can hear us, you're on, please. The candidates of all other parties are not here present. We had their best assurances that they would be here. These are the three candidates present. So we have a question. Whilst we wait for Akin Olukunle. Mr. Akin Olukunle is from the National Rescue Movement, ANRM. Question 1, and we're hoping that Dr. Kome and Olukunle, Mr. Akin Olukunle, will also be able to join us. In light of the recent NSAS protests, it is evident that effective community engagement is critical, and the protection of human rights and security of citizens in line with that. I beg your pardon, let me take that again. See you again.
The tragedy of the NSAS protest in Lekki is an everlasting stain of blood on Nigeria and our country, because the response of government was a tragic flagrant violation of the citizen. For God's sake, the citizens have rights to the freedom of speech and expression, as it is written in the Nigerian Constitution, Chapter 4. So if I'm elected as a senator, I will propose bill that will prohibit the deployment of soldiers and use of live bullets by security operatives to break protest. That's the one I will propose. Then another one, I'll propose bill that will establish conflict resolution center, CRC, where people or some youth want, if they want to protest, they will be indict anything that concern, they will be free to come to this center. The center will compose of intelligent people who will be able to respond quickly to any of the questions before it will lead to any destructive actions. That's what I'll put in place. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Dr. Kome from the African Democratic Congress. Please, sir, your response. Kindly unmute yourself.
Trying to go through what I do now.
We can hear you. moment, we can hear you. I will depend on the admin of the Electoral College to please inform me of the appearance of other candidates as they come in. We'll take the question back to the candidate from the African Action Congress, AAC, Adeyeye Mercy Bosedi. What is your position on how much we spend on governance in Nigeria? And how do you hope to, as a senator, influence lower costs of governance?
Thank you.
Please, ma'am, we'd like to have your video on so that we might see you.
Please, I'm comfortable like this, please.
We are your electorates. We need to see who we're voting for.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Johnson. As we can see, every one of us, we know Nigeria operates biggest government on earth, rather than our economy. How we can save rand out every bill. I think there's no reason for having 46 whose their bill is bigger than what Nigerian can put in place. So if I'm elected in as a senator, I'll pass bill that will curb the excess of all these waste in which Nigeria are indulging in. I will sponsor bill to reduce all this number of ministers to 15. Then in addition to that, I'll also reduce some government programs that are not impacting positively to the masses. So thereby, the economy of the country will be able to stable and everyone will be able to benefit as it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Aki Olukunle, we see your mic is on now and you're back. You have 3 minutes to give us your opening remarks, and then we'll take you through questions 1 and 2. Welcome, sir. You are unmuted, but we're unable to hear you. Sorry, we're unable to hear you. Please, sir, Mr. Olukunle, we haven't heard a thing you've said so far. Something is not connected, either your headset or not sure what that is. Or just turn up the volume on your phone. I'm not sure. No, we can't hear you yet. Perhaps you would need to log off and come back in. Thank you, sir. Well, the sound is coming up gradually. There's something off. Can you increase the volume on the side of your phone? Sorry. Perhaps bring your device closer to your mouth. Something is amiss. Is somebody using an earpiece that is connected to your Bluetooth? Can you check if your Bluetooth is on? I saw the PDP candidates come in. If we're able to confirm the presence of any other candidates, we will move on. Allow me proceed to the second question for the candidates from the AAC. The question is, what is your position on how much we spend on governance in Nigeria?
I think I've
And how do
answered
you
that,
hope?
ma.
We've answered that. Yes, please. Just
Yeah,
realized. Number
yeah,
three,
I've answered.
as a lawmaker, thank you, while we wait for your video to come on, with a core mandate to represent the needs of your constituents, how will you work with the executive in carrying out your oversight functions to ensure that relevant policies and projects are properly implemented to meet the needs in your constituency?
Yes, thanks so much. As a lawmaker, a legislator, in order to carry out my actions well in the House, I will make sure I work collectively with my other legislators. You know, government is about healthy collaborations with negotiations. So to meet the needs of the people, I need to take cognizance of the size of my constituency. So if I'm voted in, I will make sure the available resources will be given unto them. I will get it done. I'll pass bill that will prioritize the needs of my constituency with education. The healthcare, as I can see during my campaign, I could only see few at PLG there. They really need much of that. The education needs to be standardized. They need rebranding. Then also their infrastructural facility also need to be put in place. And finally, the economic of the place is still at the back of my mind that I will also work on. Thank you. Hello, I'm done.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I understand that the candidate of People's Democratic Party, Babatunde Olalere Badamusi, is here. We will give him 3 minutes to make his opening remarks and then question one. Thank you. Mr. Babatunde Badabosi, please, if you would please unmute. From the People's Democratic Party, we have here Mr. Babatunde Badamosi. You have the next 3 minutes, sir, to make your introductions, and then would serve you question one.
Okay, my name is Babatunde Olaliri Gbadamosi. I'm the PDP senatorial candidate, as you've rightly addressed. My plans for the Lagos East Senatorial District are wide and varied, but they center around making the lives of the citizens easier as best as possible by addressing the things that actually affect them. Like, for instance, the issue of the national grid that just collapsed. I have said in the past, and others haven't said, that we should just cancel the national grid, allow power to be localized. Information of that position that again, yet again, the national grid has collapsed today. You wanted me to answer a question about the cost of governance. Am I correct?
Yes, please, sir, but that is question two. We're still in the opening remarks.
Okay, so question one is,
in light of the recent NSAS protest, it is evident that effective community engagement is critical, and the protection of human rights and security of the citizens also critical. In line with this, what bill do you plan to propose in order to be properly informed about the concerns and agitations of your constituents? What systems will you establish? network glitch there. Mr. Olukunle Akin from the National Rescue Movement, are you now ready for your opening remarks? Indeed, it is a pity that candidates are unable to connect virtually. Mr. Olukunle is trying to speak to us. We can see you, sir, but cannot hear you, even though your mic is not muted.
Hello.
Is that the voice of Mr. Babatunde Kwadamosi?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Welcome
I was
back, sir.
asking you to repeat question one.
Question one. In line with the recent NSAS protests, it is evident that effective community engagement is critical and the protection of human rights and security of citizens. In line with this, what bill do you plan to propose in order to be properly informed about the concerns and agitations of your constituencies? What systems will you establish?
Well, the first thing, like I've always said, is the issue of devolution of power. That's the first thing. And in that regard, we need to look at the police. Isn't it to die? Because the police officers that are sent to police communities, to police our communities, are people that are with whom most of the community are unfamiliar. They're people that people don't know, and they're people that don't know the people. So the feedback mechanism of the police is almost zero. The empathy that the police should have for the citizens is zero. And that's the reason why the violence spiraled out of control for so many years until it culminated in the NSAS protests. To avoid that, we need to have local policing. Police needs to be decentralized, state police needs to be established, and the local authorities also need to establish their own police, headed by sheriffs. Until and unless we're able to do that, if we continue this over-centralized system where an inspector general somewhere far away in Abuja will be the one to give the orders for men of the police force to act on serious security issues. And if men keep being moved from one state to the other without concern as to their familiarity or knowledge of the terrain, their familiarity with or knowledge of the terrain that they're going to, then we're going to keep having these issues. So for me, it's state police and local authority police. That is something that I'll be pushing very, very hard for at the Senate.
Thank you, sir. Number two, what is your position on how much we spend on governance in Nigeria? And how do you hope to, as a senator, influence lower costs of governance?
Well, first of all, I agree that the cost of governance is high. And no, I do not necessarily agree that the legislature is responsible for most of it. I think that the idea of constituency projects might perhaps have been taken a little too far. I think that the executive budget also needs to be looked at, especially that concerning the presidency. You hear of crazy costs, 79 million a year to cut the hair of the president, 3.6 or is it 1.2 billion a year for the Asura clinic, which the wife of the president and the daughter of the president alleged that there was not even fencing. You know, these issues need to be looked at. The cost of running the executive needs to be looked at very closely. And I think that the best way to handle this is to restructure Nigeria, restructure so that the center is not quite as powerful as it is right now. Devolve power down to the local authorities, so that it's the local authorities that will be the most powerful, that will have the most powerful, influence among all the levels of government, followed by the states and then followed by the federal government. Right now, the federal government is too powerful. In terms of sharing of, one of the ways that you can see how that power is reflected is the revenue sharing formula, where the federal government takes almost 50%, and I think, yeah, almost 50% of the federal revenue, and then a little goes to the states, and even less goes to the local authority. I think we have things upside down. I think it should be the local authorities should take a greater share of the national cake. The states, well, whatever national cake there is to share, that is, because I actually believe that we should devolve everything. Once we devolve everything, the attraction of going to the center, the attraction of wanting to get to the Senate, wanting to get to the House of Reps, it will reduce considerably, and that requires a lot of constitutional amendments. I mean, we're dealing with a constitution that was created by Awalu Yadudu, somebody who was clearly invested in specific biases, some of them religious, some of them ethnic, and because of it, the Constitution contains a lot of contradictions, a lot of terms that contradict themselves, a lot of clauses, a lot of provisions that are contradictory. Okay, we need to look at the Constitution all over again. We need to have a Constitution that was created by we the people, not Awalu Yadudu. And I'll be pushing for quick constitutional reform. And the traditional area where we would expect for resistance to these reforms is now the area most beset by misgovernance in Nigeria, and that is the far north, the northeast, the northwest. They're besieged right now by terrorists, invaders. They keep romantically calling them bandits, but they're not bandits. When you call them bandits, you're kind of, you're almost justifying them. They're not bandits. You're romanticizing them. They are invaders. And until and unless we address those issues, and I believe that the Constitution is what will help us to address them, a constitutional reform, restructuring, and devolution of power to the local government and states.
Thank you, sir. Question 3. As a lawmaker with a core mandate to represent the needs of your constituents, how will you work with the executive in carrying out your oversight functions to ensure that relevant policies and projects are properly implemented to meet the needs in your constituency? If you turn off your video, sir, it might improve the bandwidth. I'm sure we'll have the PDP candidates join us again shortly.
Hello?
Did you hear my last question, sir?
No, I didn't. Can you repeat, please?
Perhaps we would like to turn off your video so that it will help the bandwidth whilst you're in transit.
Okay, great.
Number 3 says, as a lawmaker with a core mandate to represent the needs of your constituents, how will you work with the executive in carrying out your oversight functions to ensure that relevant policies and projects are properly implemented to meet the needs in your constituency? Our sincere apologies for the glitches in the network, and our sincere thanks to all our electorates who are keeping the fort and being patient to ensure that this debate does successfully go through. Do I have the permission of admin to proceed to the next question?
We'll see it. We'll see. I see him in on campaign this segment.
We proceed to question 4. What legislative policies would you propose to mitigate rising environmental pollution due to the increasing number of cars and construction chemicals or dust in the Lagos State East?
Yeah, I think that is for me, right?
Yes, please, Madam Mercy.
Yes, Lagos,
On
due
the
to
AAC.
the enormous population, I think the best laws to put in place, I'm going to put in place the introduction of a metro line that is linking all Lagos together through rail system. That's a means of a to ease transportation system. Then another one, strict on compliance with roadworthiness, the laws of cars that will push outdated cars out of the road. You know, flames are caused by cars which are in bad conditions. So I will put in place bills that will work seriously on that. The construction of good drainage system for each flow of chemical system for each flow of chemical right away to direct them in the right channel will be put in place. Then another way, my bill will also work on the recycling of the waste and the recruiting of experts to give advice on environmental waste. This will also reduce environmental in Lagos. I will also pass bill or sponsor a bill that will create special department of public safety and environmental protection that will be saddled with creating problem in which any cars may, uh, may erupt. So that is it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. If the NRM candidate would please unmute his microphone, perhaps we would hear you this time. Mr. Akin Olukunle, please. Would we try one more time to unmute your microphone and hear your response? You're on, sir. The sound is very light, very faint. The challenge continues. The PDP candidate, please, if you would unmute your microphone and respond to the question, which says, what legislative policies will you propose to mitigate rising environmental pollution due to the increasing number of cars and construction chemicals and dust in Lagos State East? The PDP candidate, please. PDP candidate, sir, can you hear me? If you will unmute your mic, sir.
Hello?
We hear you, sir.
Okay. You're asking me to answer question number 4, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. The first thing I would do is push for an easing of tariffs on electric cars, electric vehicles, electric buses, electric cars. I would ask for an easing of tariffs on them because, for one thing, most vehicle manufacturers around the world are moving away from internally combusted engines. That is the regular cars that we know today. They're moving away from them. And by 2030, most vehicles on the roads will be electric anyway. So we might as well jump ahead of the curve. Okay. We have 2 privately owned vehicle manufacturers in the country, and I have it on good authority that both of them will be tooling up to start producing electric cars sometime within the next 3 years. So it makes sense, absolute sense, for our public transport policy to be one that focuses on electric vehicles so that we can take the fumes away from our roads. That's number one. Number two, uh, and yes, I know people will ask me, how will we charge those vehicles? And the answer is, in addition to pushing for electric cars, we'll also be pushing very hard for an easing of the tariffs. In fact, I would be asking for solar renewable energy inputs to be reduced to 0% duty on the customs tariff list. Because if we can't do that, then we will not be able to generate energy. We have a massive and very obvious energy deficit in this country. And our refusal to adopt renewable energy is the stupidest, daftest thing that any country could ever do. Okay, and we can't continue to remain daft. All right, we need to move away from the kind of system that we have. We need to end the national grid. We need to localize power. We need to allow people to generate their own power using renewable energy means. And we cannot make the renewable energy inaccessible by slapping massive tariffs on the importation of solar panels or even the production of solar panels. If we're going to add any tariff, let's say 5%, for instance, on solar panels, then we should make any equipment for the manufacture or the assembly of solar panels in Nigeria importable at 0%, 0% duty, absolutely zero. If we can't do that, then we're being really stupid, foolish, obdurate, and ostriches burying our heads in the sand. So 2 policies: electric vehicles as quickly as possible, zero tariffs on zero tariffs or as little tariffs as possible on electric vehicles. Let's say about 20% on electric vehicles to encourage people to start bringing in electric vehicles, and then 0% duty on renewable energy inputs. So solar panels,
Thank you,
wind
sir.
turbines, and stuff like that. All those need to be brought. And then in addition to that, the prioritization and the localization also of railways, so that it doesn't remain on the exclusive list. It becomes concurrent.
Thank you, sir.
So that states can set up their own railways as they please without federal authority.
Thank you. The NRM candidates, would you please like to try again, sir? Sir, you may need to refresh your phone, turn the phone off, on, and come back in. We will be expecting you. It just might be a network glitch. Thank you, sir. Do I have the permission of the Electoral College to move to question 5?
Joyce, you have our permission to move to question 5 since
Thank
there's a
you.
lot of issues. I think you can go ahead with the PDP candidate. It seems to be on the move. Seems to be
I
on the
haven't
move.
answered. I haven't answered question 3, I believe.
Oh, okay, sir.
No, you did
Then
not.
we can go ahead with question 3.
Question 3. As a lawmaker with a core mandate to represent the needs of your constituents, how will you work with the executive in carrying out your oversight functions to ensure that relevant policies and projects are properly implemented to meet the needs in your constituency?
Obviously, one can't go into the house with a mindset to go and upset people all the time. When people need to be upset, yes, we will do that on occasion. But getting things done at that sort of level requires a lot of diplomacy. And contrary to the views of many, I can be diplomatic when I choose to. And most of the things that my constituents need are universal. They're the things that all Nigerians need. And so when we make requests for these things, we will not be focusing specifically on just the residents of Lagos East alone, but we'll be looking at things that are common to all Nigerians. So for instance, like I mentioned earlier, the issue of the national grid. The national grid is not working. Let's stop kidding ourselves. Let Kainji Dam serve the people in that area. Okay, let all the power stations serve their local areas and stop trying to feed into a national grid that is old, creaking, and raggedy. It doesn't work. So in that regard, we will be governments easier for everyone, and to making policies and laws that benefit the whole of Nigeria. Of course, if Nigerians all benefit from an electric policy, then the people of Lagos is to benefit from it. If Nigerians benefit from a road construction policy, then the people of Lagos is will benefit from it. If I'm able, for instance, to persuade the executive that we need to allow states to design and build their own railways without federal authorization, then everybody will benefit from it. So it really comes down to us being selfless and being able to be diplomatic in the way we address issues, so that we're addressing issues we're addressing issues that affect everyone. I mean, for instance, another example of this is the fact that my constituency accommodates virtually all Nigerians. In Lagos East, we have people from the north, we have people from the middle belt, we have people from the south, people from the east, minorities, majority tribes from each and every one of these areas. We have people everywhere. So we have people from everywhere. So whenever we make policies that work for Nigeria, that work for the people of Lagos, they work for the whole of Nigeria. Everybody comes to Lagos to, as it were, make it. And Lagos is part of Lagos.
Thank you. Question 5. We will start with you, sir, and then we'll go to the candidate from the AAC. Do you believe that there are legislative mechanisms to effectively and sustainably address the slum crisis in Lagos State? What legislative policies would you propose to ensure that priority is placed on eradicating slums and unregulated settlements within Lagos, and to secure...
Sorry, you're going to have to repeat that because I missed most of it.
Question 5. Do you believe that there are legislative mechanisms to effectively and sustainably address the slum crisis in Lagos? What legislative policies would you propose to ensure that priority is placed on eradicating slums and unregulated settlements within Lagos, and to ensure proper resettlement and access to basic amenities for displaced persons?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. sound is much lower than it was before.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we hear you.
Okay. So you were going to ask another question?
Question 5, sir. Perhaps you turn off your video for just a moment so
Canada.
that it can help the bandwidth. Thank you, sir. Do you believe that there are legislative mechanisms to effectively and sustainably address the slum crisis in Lagos State? What legislative policies would you propose to ensure that priority is placed on eradicating slums and unregulated settlements within Lagos, and to secure proper resettlement and access to basic amenities for displaced persons? PDP candidate, please. Madam AAC, would you please take this question?
All right. Well done,
Thank you.
Jesse. Looking at the slum in Lagos State, slums are collective reflection of overall health of state economy, secondary to the tragic failure of leadership, which is an indictment on the political elite who have a very long time been neglected. And the people, these are really make people poor. Why would they be relocated instead of improving their condition, at least by investing on these people and providing housing for them through urban renewal programs that will inject money on those areas, such as we can build schools to them, hospitals, and improve the local economy and to chase poverty away in the state. So as a senator, if I'm elected, I will sponsor a bill that will improve on the standard of living of the people of Lagos State. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. PDP candidate?
It says my microphone is on mute.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hello, Joyce, are you there?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, Joyce, I think since we have two stable candidates here, I'm not sure whether the PDP candidate has answered question 5. I heard Mercy answer question 5. The AAC candidate answer question 5. So if he has not taken question 5, maybe the PDP candidate can go with question 5. Then we can take Q&A that we're having from social media so that we're not taking everybody's time. As long as everybody is present, let's just try and rush and get this over with.
Okay, I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
I
you,
can hear you, sir.
Mr. PDP candidate.
Okay. Right. As far as urban renewal, as far as slums and so on and so forth, I think the best thing that the federal government can do is purely at the policy level, where we can come up with planning policies or planning laws that make it illegal for any state to not have a certain minimum of facilities and amenities. So, for instance, we can say we can pass laws relating to an urban development code. We can pass an urban development code that absolutely insists that any area that must be fit for human habitation must have electricity, must be connected to an electrical grid, must be or must have electricity, must have water, must be connected to a central sewage system, which must be treated, must have motorable roads must have pavement for pedestrians, um, and so on and so forth. So we can develop a code, an urban development code, which all state governments by law must abide by. But the problem with trying to do that from the federal level is that, you know, these things fall generally outside of federal jurisdiction when you're talking about developing cities and so on. So the only thing that can happen is for one to have a persuasive voice over the government of one state to sort of say, well, look, this area needs roads, this area needs this, and this area needs that. Because by the time you drill down to the neighborhood streets, federal jurisdiction doesn't cover those sorts of areas. So we are we are left with the barest modicum of providing a policy, an urban policy. That's the barest minimum that we can do now. In addition to that, the federal government, through its federal housing policy, can we could, for instance, insist that the federal government provide a certain percentage of affordable housing in each state, okay, on an as needs basis, so that where the state has provided so much housing, the federal government can be required by law to provide a certain percentage of that housing, whether 100% as match housing or 50% of the housing provided by the state, the federal must match that. And that, you know, all federal housing must have um, all of these amenities that I've mentioned earlier. And once we're able to do that, I think that we'll see that a lot of these slums will begin to naturally disappear because the competition can then start between the federal and the state governments over providing affordable housing for citizens of the country. I mean, we saw what happened when Alhaji Jakonde and the late Ambassador Wahab Dosumu entered into a competition. Wahab Dosumu was the federal minister for housing during the Shagari administration. Alhaji Jakonde was the governor of Lagos State at the same time. So they entered into this massive competition where they were providing affordable housing across Lagos State. The federal government would provide affordable housing in some areas, and Jakonde provided 20,000 affordable housing units. So it became a competition to see who could provide the most housing. And I'd like to see that kind of competition start up again in this country, not just in Lagos State, but in the country as a whole. So that is where my focus would be on. You know, laws to regulate, laws to sort of set up a barest minimum of amenities that states can provide for urban areas.
Thank you, sir. We have one question from the audience. The first question from the audience coming all the way from Facebook. We'll start with you, sir, and then we'll proceed to the AAC candidate. What direct constitutional need is paramount to you for your constituents? I'll take the question one more time. What direct constitutional need is paramount to you for your constituents?
Again, ma'am, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'll take it again. What direct constitutional need is paramount to you for your constituents?
The paramount.
Madam AAC, please.
All right.
Okay.
The paramount policies to use for me that having noted the need of my constituency, that is for me to propose bill that will improve standard of living of the people of the Lagos State, to work on the areas which they are needed, as in to improve their infrastructure and so on like that, to give a delivery and exemplary leadership in my governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam AAC. Mr. PDP candidate, please.
Okay, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. There are two areas where my constituents are actually suffering quite badly now, and one of them is the reason why the NTAS protests erupted in the first place, and that is the area of human rights abuse by security agents of all types, not just the police. That needs to stop, and that's something that we're going to be looking at in terms of the constitutional rights of my people, the right to freedom of movement, the right to freedom of assembly, the right to freedom to dress as they see fit, as long as they're decently dressed, the right to having any hairstyle that they want. That's one area. The second one is access to power, access to electrical power.
Yes, please.
The fact that most of Lagos is in darkness most of the time is something that needs to be addressed. And the only way to address that is to localize the generation and distribution of power. This idea that we must feed all power generated into the national grid is crazy. We have EGMI that has an installed capacity of 1,200 megawatts, and EGMI town itself does not have power. The place where the power station is situated does not. It's so absurd. It does not have power. And that's a situation that we need addressed immediately. And that's something I'll be fighting for, the localization of power generation and distribution.
Thank you, sir. We have one final question from Twitter from Mr. Kola Bamidele, and it says, being one out of 109 senators, what would be your lobbying technique to propose bills? Would have Mr. PDP candidate speak first, and then Madam AAC.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just lost you briefly. Can you repeat the question, please?
As one of 109 senators, what will your lobbying technique be to propose bills?
I'm lost completely.
Can you hear me
Hello,
now,
can you
sir?
hear me now?
I can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay. You asked what my lobbying technique would be to proposing bills.
Please.
That's something that I cannot answer here because then people will be waiting for me and I just might not succeed. So I'm going to keep that close to my chest for the time being. When we enter the Senate, it will become obvious how I plan. Well,
We've lost you once again, but I believe we've heard the most part of your response. Madam AAC, please.
Yeah, my lobby style will be on seeking a kind of a redress from other legislators. I think that is making my intention known to other legislators. What I have in mind, they put in my bill. So by this, from one legislator to the other, we'll be able to work on it before it will become a law. Because as a legislator, the collaboration is very important. So I cannot just sit and say as a senator that this is what I want and that is final. So I need to use a style, a kind of a stylish way, seek for others' ideas, others' view. Then from that, the necessary things to put in place in my view. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I understand we can take a few more questions from social media. So we have a question from Samuel on Twitter, and his question is, the Senate is a legislative function or arm of government. Why have most candidates spoken from executive actions on this debate? So the question is, what would be the top bill to propose from day one? Your first bill from day one. Madam AAC, will you like to go first?
My first bill on the first day in the office
Yes, please.
will be for the youth. It will be based on the youth need because being one of the youth in Nigeria, and I've been agitating for a lot of needs in the country. So my first proposed bill will be on the needs of Nigerian youth. The kind of involvement in administration of Nigerian in the country, in the administrative work of the country. So my first bill will be that. So that saying that they will see all Nigerian youths need to be recognized. It is time for Nigerian youth to be recognized in the administrative control of the country. So I'm going to work first on Nigerian youths. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. PDP candidates, are you able to take this question now?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, please. We can't hear you right now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Your question was about what my first bill will be.
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll definitely be going for something that is universal to all Nigerians and that will help everybody quickly, and that is power. We need to end this monopoly of the transmission company of Nigeria so that the national grid, as we know it, becomes an optional issue. So if they want to keep it, let them keep it, but it doesn't need to be by force that anybody that generates power must send it to the national grid. People have to choose whether they want to do that or not. That is the discourse. They have to choose whether they want to transmit power to the national grid or whether they want to distribute it locally to those who are ready to pay their bills. 40% of the power sent to the national grid is lost anyway, and that is causing Nigeria to be unproductive. The dollar as at Friday, I think it was 520 naira to a dollar. And the reason for that is because we are not productive. We're not producing anything. We're not producing anything because we can't produce competitively with generators. It's just not possible. Yet we have installed power capacity at a number of stations, the NIPP stations, Ijara Power Station, even at 40. You just go. So all of these stations, the power they're generating is lost to the country because 40% of what they inject into the national grid just gets lost through unnatural wastage due to the age of the national grid. Hello?
Yes, please.
So the first law for me would be, some way to end the monopoly of the national grid. The idea that we should generate power and it must go into the national grid must end. I'll also be looking at amending the electrical laws to allow for people to generate up to 10 megawatts without needing to generate and distribute up to 10 megawatts without needing to obtain a license from the relevant authorities. Because right now the threshold is at 1 megawatt, one measly megawatt in a country that has no power. Doesn't make sense.
Thank you. We have one more question from Twitter from Mr. Shea, and it says, what will you term as good governance in relation to the office you're aspiring for? Mr. PDP, we'll take you first, sir.
Okay. As far as the office of the Senate, the first and most important thing is you must be ready to make laws and to support laws that bring succor directly and immediately, especially in the condition that Nigeria is now, directly and immediately to your constituents. My constituents are very hardworking, industrious people, but all their industry and all their hard work at the moment is focused on getting the basics, getting petrol to power their I better pass my neighbor, fetching water from the nearest available from the nearest available borehole operator, or buying from Merua, or buying pure water to even have their pack. Good governance is, for me, the ability to create laws and to help in situations that will help to take all these basic things, to make all these basic things easy for my constituents to achieve, so that they don't waste a lot of productive energy on getting the basics. And then we'll also be looking at the roads, because getting from A to B is turning into hell in Lagos East right now. I mean, that applies to all of Lagos, really, let's be frank. But getting from A to B in most of Lagos East is a traumatic experience for most people. And so I'll be focusing in Lagos East also on sorting out our road infrastructure.
Sir? Mr. Badamusi, please. We'd like to say a big thank you to our candidates who have shown up today, from the PDP, the AAC, the NRM, who we were able to see and hear from most of the time. We apologize for the network glitches, which may have hindered other candidates from showing up today. In closing, please allow me to welcome the chairperson of the Electoral College of Nigeria, Nella Andem Ewerabana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please, ma'am, we would like you to unmute. Thank you.
Like I was saying, thank you very much. I want to thank the candidates who participated. I believe that even though all of them were not able to join us, those who participated, particularly the PDP candidate and the lady,
the AAC candidate.
The AAC. You have done us proud and we thank you. The whole idea is for the electorate to be able to at least engage and decide based on issues that are burning and which touch them. And although we didn't have, if we had had a longer period, possibly they would have asked more questions. But even so, we believe that the whole idea of sensitizing the electorate, making them more interested, giving them an aspiration and a reason to vote, we must have achieved. So I congratulate the Electoral College again for the initiative, and notwithstanding the fact that the technology hasn't been too fair to us on this occasion, we expect that in future we would grapple even better with the difficulties that have been presented. With this, I say thank you and God bless us all. And God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
From all of us here at the Electoral College, it's goodbye and God bless.
Thank you very much, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's been a privilege hosting everyone. And on behalf of the Electoral College, after the chairperson has spoken, my name is Kuni Lawal, I'm its executive director. Thank you everyone for attending. We'd like to thank the PDP and other candidates, the AAC and the NRM, who decided to make it here in their tight schedules, and even Kome of the ADP, who couldn't get his phone really online. But today, we thank everybody for the effort. It's a win for Nigeria. It's a win for the Electoral College. It's a win for the electorate of Lagos East. And Joyce Daniels, thanks for doing a very great job with this. We look forward to seeing you all at probably the next thing the Electoral College sets up for everyone. So on behalf of everyone, thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thanks so much for having us on the program.